So we're back with our customs and tariff update for brands selling in the US, because on March 4, we got again a number of executive orders taking effect that have a significant impact on brands selling into the US market. So what happened? First of all, the tariffs on goods of Mexican and Canadian origin that had previously been announced and then postponed have now taken effect. So as of now, all B2B imports into the US from Canada and Mexico as origin are subject to a 25% tariff, for one. Number two, goods made in China are subject now to an additional 10% tariff, which is stackable and cumulative to the previous 10% tariff that was announced about a month ago and all previously effective tariffs as well. So B2B imports into the United States through formal entry, both from Canada, from Mexico and from China, are getting a whole of a lot more expensive as of March 4. At the same time, what happened to the de minimis threshold and the 321 clearance into the US, right? For recap, de minimis is the allowance that every US resident has to bring in goods up to $800 of value per day into the country without paying duties and taxes. And while that is $800 per shipment, it also means that if an e-commerce platform like Shein brings in a whole plane load worth of shipments, but each individual shipment is going to one person and is below $800, then that qualifies under the de minimis. So 1-2 months ago, there was a lot of talk that the de minimis is dead, and brands that were shipping cross-border, either from China or other markets, or from Mexico and Canada under 321 fulfillment, so from fulfillment centers that are just behind the border, serving the US market, using that 321 de minimis to bring goods into the United States, there was a lot of talk that that is dead. What actually happened now is that the de minimis and 321 is still alive. So today you can still bring in goods that are, for example, made in China into the US using 321 clearance. And you can also bring in, let's say, Chinese origin goods from a Mexican fulfillment center, from a Canadian fulfillment center under 321 without paying duties and taxes, as long as those goods are designated to an end customer and as long as they are below $800 per shipment. So de minimis is dead was the theme of 2 months ago. In reality, de minimis has survived, at least for the time being. And at the same time, the tax advantage, the duty advantage that de minimis 321 fulfillment has when bringing goods into the United States has actually increased rather than decreased. Because if you import goods regularly under formal entry and bring them to a US fulfillment center, you are now subject to the additional taxes. So the additional 10% tax that comes in from China on top of all previous taxes, duties, and the 25% from Mexico and Canada, which is new, right? So B2B imports under formal entry have become a lot more expensive. 321 is still very much alive, and therefore the duty cost advantage of shipping from 321 fulfillment centers, especially those in Mexico, in Tijuana mostly, just behind the border, about half an hour from San Diego, that cost advantage is actually for now bigger than ever. What does that mean for brands? We live in a world that is changing very fast. It's becoming very hard to really predict the future and therefore settle on a strategy. What is instead very important is agility, flexibility, and resilience. And resilience comes from having multiple options. So one advice we give brands that are currently doing, for example, 321 fulfillment, is to continue to leverage this while the rules very much allow for it. And at this stage, there's no indication that it will change in the near future. Locad operates a 321 fulfillment center in Mexico, for example, which allows goods that are, for example, made in China to be shipped to a Mexican fulfillment center and from there directly shipped to customers, saving duties under 321. So by all means, at this stage, it makes a lot of sense to continue using that. It is fully legal and exempt from duties. At the same time, you want to improve your supply chain resilience, so it makes sense to already onboard onshore US fulfillment centers and have some of your stock there and basically ensure that whatever happens in changes to the tariff acts you are basically secured for your US business. So Locad operates both 321 fulfillment from Mexico, regular onshore fulfillment from the US, and we're very happy to work with brands that are interested to find the most resilient supply chain solutions for your US e-commerce and omnichannel retail business. We'll keep you posted once news comes out to share more.